I wound up running over a shocking amount of people. And what stood out to me, like, I forgot about the sound of it. Like, there's a telltale squish under your car as you run people over. And it's just like, it's happening again and again. And I'm just thinking about these poor people who are trying to go get noodles from Chunky Lee Chong, or they're going to work at like the bitchin' dog food factory. And here I am trying to steal this secure car, running them over with no sense of responsibility whatsoever. Hey guys, welcome back to the GTA Every Mission podcast. I am your co-host Henning Fogg, joined by Tim Goessling.
It's your boy TPG, and I'm back with one question.
Fire away.
What is the money for? This is a life question, but also in this game, I feel as we continue on this journey, we're finally making some bank here,
Uh,
and I don't know what to do with all this cash.
Tim, how much money do you have in your GTA bank account right now?
I only spend it on guns. It's the
No,
only thing I can spend it on.
I know. The question is, how much money do you have? Are we talking tens of thousands? What are you up to?
I honestly couldn't tell you. It doesn't feel like enough, but sometimes it feels like it has no meaning because so far, I guess all I'm saying is in the game like this, where you are rewarded financially through escalating violence, it's surprising to me that that reward system gives you nothing to spend it on. If the dream of liberty is to do whatever you want
Hmm.
and get paid for it, what is the value of money if I have nothing to spend it on? I can't buy cars, I can't buy property. Like it seems like the only things that I've been able to spend my money on is guns and hookers, which might be the true meaning of America in the eyes of Rockstar.
It
And
it very well may be. You can also get your car resprayed. Let's not forget about that.
all
I
right, so
don't.
we got guns, hookers, and cars.
Yeah, and I think that's, an even more American trio than what you had projected. I can't remember if later in the game there are more things that you can spend money on, but you raise a valid point, which is motivation. I think that's the broader question, right? What is motivating us? And it's if money is not providing much by way of material reward in this game, then presumably we're doing it because we're psychopaths. We're doing all these things because we are not driven by money and capital. I'm not even sure we're driven by liberty. I think we are just driven by wanton destruction.
Yeah, so like I know we don't like to touch too much on other games, but it would be I think we should mention, now in 2025 there is Grand Theft Auto Online where you could spend your money on lots of things. You can actually spend your real world money to buy fake money in the
And
GTA world that
people
you could
people do
use.
spend a lot of real world money to the tune of billions of dollars a year in Rockstar's pockets.
Yeah, and you could also get money by working jobs like civilian level jobs
Right.
in GTA role playing servers. So it's just if to me I was struck with that thrill of a payday and then
Hmm.
faced with the crushing lows of having nothing to spend it on outside of 9mm pistol bullets at ammunition and the services of a woman that I did actually take out to the beach in
That's
the game.
lovely. That's really sweet. That sounds like a nice date.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue, not the thing with the woman, but the thing with the money
Uh,
into our first mission, Farewell Chunky Lee Chong, because this was the first mission where I felt like I earned my cash.
okay.
I had, I
All
had
right.
to work on I had to work on this mission. This mission took way longer than I thought it would take. And it was the first time that I felt like I was drifting out of tutorial mode and
Hmm.
coming into the real world of being not a Liberty City, because I think we're still in Portland. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, Portland is a borough within Liberty City. So this is the first borough, the way that New York City is comprised of
What is the
five
equivalent
boroughs.
borough of this?
I would say that Portland is meant as a sort of Bronx slash Queens stand-in.
So
That's the
not in Manhattan.
no, definitely not Manhattan. That will be the next island we go to. That
And
we
I know
literally
you're a Manhattan kid in real life. You went to school in Manhattan. So like you don't
sure,
try to tell
yeah.
me that the Bronx and Queens is is the same
No,
as
I'm
the
not saying it's the
big
same
time.
at all. I'm not saying it's the same at all, nor am I shitting on them in any capacity. I applaud anybody from those areas, and we should celebrate it. But
So
let's highlight what this mission is. You're not wrong that we spent last episode talking about the sort of tutorial components of the three missions, and we're still with Joey Leone, played by Michael Rappaport.
I don't know if I like Joey. He
Why
doesn't
not?
seem as of a wholesome of a guy.
As
So
opposed to who? Luigi?
yeah, Luigi's running a business. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? He's telling you that this is your moment to get a leg up, and Joey just wants us to you know kill his rivals and shuttle women around like the
Right.
whole thing. Uh,
Joey is a fail son. Joey is a Nepo baby. He is the son of Sergio, not Sergio Leone. He's not the composer, but he's the mob boss's son, right? So he's just, fucking around. He has no horse in this race beside his own like boredom. So that to me feels like where we're getting all of our sort of marching orders from in Joey Leone.
yeah, and also I think we can I think we can say this now that we're living in an enlightened area. Chunky Lee Chong is a pretty racist name, bro.
Yeah, no, I would say so. There's no getting around that.
Um, so now that we've gotten that out of the way,
I mean, listen, there are Asian characters whose names are likely Lee Chong, but the chunky part of it doesn't do any favors to this character.
yes, and this is also like a pattern in this game that I feel like I'm killing these people and I don't really know anything about them other outside of the mission, which is
Okay, well
both.
let's explain what this mission even is. So we are back at Joey's auto body shop, right? He's working on what looks to me like a dune buggy of some kind, which having played this game 20 years ago, the sense memory of it, I know that the car he's working on is called a BF injection. That doesn't matter, but it came to me. He tells us that some noodle shop proprietor, the titular Chunky Lee Chong, is peddling that drug Spank that we dealt with a few missions ago, which seems to be the fentanyl of the GTA universe circa 2001. This guy needs to be taken out. Go to ammunition, get yourself a nine if you need it, kill the guy. That's the mission.
Once again, the back of ammunition.
Right. You're not, so to your point, we don't even need to use our own money to purchase this gun. The money is for nothing. The gun is just waiting for us. It is heavily implied that we should use this gun to take out this dude. Um, so that's the setup for this mission. You had sort of alluded to this being a little more complicated than you had anticipated.
Yeah. So what I want to talk a little bit about, since I have read Tomorrow by Gabriel Levin, a recommendation from you, I'm now more aware of game design. And I actually thought the game design here was pretty good because you couldn't get to the guy in the car. You had to get out of the car. There were like these car blocker things.
Yes.
So I was immediately like, thought to myself, all right, I can't run this dude over. The last time I had to do this, I could knock their car over, kill those. Who do we kill? Triads or who we killed them last time? Colombians, Balas.
I don't know what mission you're referring to.
When we got the car with the flames on it.
Oh, that was the Diablos.
Yes, the Diablos. So they were driving around, but now I had to go on foot.
Right.
And I did particularly enjoy so going on foot was good game design.
Hmm.
I also enjoyed like the kind of like the sweeping camera that came in. It actually reminded me of Tony Hawk, where they show you the levels beforehand,
Sure.
which
With
I
all
thought
the
was like,
objectives that you need to hit in the 2 minute
yeah.
timer.
So it was like another like interesting gamer era touch point where it
Right.
was showing you like here's Chunky Lee Chong, and then here's the guards around him, and he's in this noodle stand, and you're kind of in this. Uh,
You're in a
I don't
Chinatown
know.
alleyway.
Yeah, but it's pretty big, and there's branching alleys and stuff like
Right.
that.
It's pretty
So
clear that there are other enemies who are either guarding him or simply surrounding him, and that this is not going to be as cut and dry as just like a walk-up assassination.
exactly. So me, I live on hype, and I thought to myself, all right, this is sick. Let's do this.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you, there were enough guys with machine. I don't think they had machine guns. They just had pistols, but some of them have baseball bats. And every time I did this, he would get away from me and he would get in a car, and I would have to run and steal a car or get
Right.
back to my car and chase him down. And I was just in this high octane car chase kill mode, which I actually thought was amazing. I thought that from a game design perspective, I was like, hell yeah. Now I'm living this.
Right.
And it only took me, I won't even say how many times to get this done. But did you have a similar experience, or did you get it done right away?
I got it done right away. Is there a fail state for this mission? Because the island is closed off. He can't actually flee the island.
Yo, don't embarrass me about my failed
Okay, all
gaming
right, all
skills
right, all
here,
right.
bro.
Okay, all right. I'm going to talk about me for a second. You can sit with your side of things.
Sit with
I
my
went in.
shame.
You sit in your shame while I talk about my experience playing this. So I believe that I still had the shotgun and the Uzi left over from that Diablo mission you were talking about. So I've got three weapons at my disposal. The guys are coming at me with baseball bats. I take some of them out. I'm pretty sure that some of the other triad guys who are all dressed in a sort of denim workers uniform, presumably affiliated with the the fish cannery down the road. Someone
Not
had a
to be
gun.
confused with the dudes that sing the YMCA, the construction workers with the short shorts.
No, that's a separate form of NPC. But dispatched with these bodyguards, much like you, I did not get Chunky straight away. He got in his car and he's fleeing. I was lucky enough to still have that Diablo, which I had also taken from the pimp and his bodyguard in the previous mission. So I gave way to that as well. And that was definitely not as straightforward as I had anticipated it being. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, like I need to run this car off the road. I need to explode this car somehow. That was not happening very easily. I kept trying to ram him, hoping that I would do enough damage and that would explode. Eventually, sheer luck, I got him trapped between like two box trucks. He's not going anywhere. I get out of my car, then I pull out the shotgun that I had maintained from this mission, which sent me flying. His car explodes, my car explodes. Like I'm down to probably like 20 health and just barely surviving this mission. But it reinforced for me that blowing up cars is like the single most fun part of this game.
Yes, the graphics when the cars blow up are awesome.
Oh yeah. I think it was pretty good in 2001, but I'm assuming they also put in some work in this remaster.
Yeah, they threw on some graphic spice there on that for sure. Yeah, I agree. To me, this type of mission is really the first time you get the taste of the promise of GTA. You can
Yeah,
you can prepare all you want, but it's going to get a little crazy, and you're going to have to maybe get in a car and kill somebody.
I mean,
And
presumably you can kill this guy straight away. I would imagine that your experience, my experience, is probably the bulk of players' experiences where things are not going quite according to plan, but you have now been given enough uh, mechanics of this game, right? And you know how to use a gun, you know how to drive, you know how to box people in. And in real time, these mechanics are coming together and creating an experience that is going to be slightly different for everybody. And that's the promise of an open world game. That is the promise of liberty in this game. So in its own kind of quiet way, I feel like all of the sort of mechanics of GTA are finally coming to bear, like on an individual mission level.
talk about quiet, it makes me think about silent movies.
Okay.
Harken back to young TPG in high school film class with a great teacher, cool guy, drove a motorcycle, made our class of six watch Easy Rider in high school. We watched a movie called The Great Train Robbery, which is a silent film.
I was going to say
That,
the Easy Rider is not a silent movie. So, okay.
yes, but The
Great
Great
Train
Train
Robbery.
Robbery
Yes. One
is,
of the earliest films.
yes, silent film. Pretty violent. Like people are getting thrown off trains and stuff. Like it's not Goodfellas or something like that. But kinetic action is the currency of all action movies.
Hmm.
I myself have been waiting to revisit Ronin, John Frankenheimer classic, Robert
Right.
De Niro. Big inspiration for what we could say is a modern action franchise, Mission Impossible. high stakes car chases. Then you're talking about Fast and Furious. And Henning, let me tell you, bro, I got a taste of that good life with this mission. It was a thrill hopping into the whip, chasing him down. I know you felt it too. Like, did you feel like you were scratching the itch of like sick action movies, except you were in control of this, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, like again, it's the sort of it's the open world kind of fulfilling its promise where this guy is he's speeding away. He's not going as fast as you can conceivably drive. We're going to talk about a driving mission later in this episode, but he's moving quickly enough and you are contending with the NPCs driving their cars and walking the street. And so all of these things are kind of combining. And like I said, everybody's individual experience here is going to be slightly different. So the rush was very present for me. This
Because it's
this
interesting, bro. Because I actually have a confession.
confession, confess your sins.
I didn't kill him in the car when I finally beat this mission.
What did you do? You dragged him
I
out of his
just
car?
I just stayed strapped up and just went right in there and smoked him in the street, dude. I
Wait.
used I used my rudimentary targeting capabilities of this game and just aim for him as opposed to the his worker bees, dude, as opposed to his minions. And I got the money, and
ten
I
thousand
felt a little,
dollars to be
uh,
specific.
yeah, good bread. And I didn't get in the car, you know. So
Okay.
after 6 attempts of car-based violence, I had to take him out on the street,
Now,
and
do
it
you
made
think?
me think. Never let them get in the car, right?
Yeah, yeah. Fast and Furious. Do you,
Never let them get in the
I
car.
have to imagine that part of your response there was the result of having played the mission five previous times,
Yeah, of
without
course,
succeeding.
dude. Of
So,
course.
so all of that, it has to come, that rage has to come out somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny. I played a game that I'd be very, very surprised if listeners know. And you can leave a comment on here, but it was a game called Interstate 76,
Okay.
which was a PC only car combat based game. This game was incredible. It kind of spawned you might know this series known as Vigilante 8, which was a PlayStation car combat game.
The name is familiar. I've never played either of these games.
So Interstate 76 was a post-apocalyptic car game where you drove around in cars and like kind of a post-apocalyptic world where people were battling over gasoline, and it had the most rocking funk soundtrack. And I'm pretty sure that one of the members of the people who did the soundtrack went on to be in Third Eye Blind, or
Oh wow.
it's either Third Eye Blind or the people who made that song Plain White. I think the Plain White Tees is the other band, but I'm pretty sure it's Third Eye Blind. Anyway,
Plain white tees. Hey there, Delilah.
yes, I'm pretty
Damn.
sure it's Third Eye Blind. But anyway, their motto was never get out of the car.
Okay.
So I had the two push and pulls in my mind. I had the Fast and Furious, never let him get in the car. Then I had the never let him get out of the car. So in the end, it was just a down and dirty chunky Lee Chong, bro. He served his last noodles at the stand,
Yeah, I
smoked
mean,
him with the 9mm on the street. And it made me think that I feel like I haven't seen enough Asian gangster cinema. I've seen Infernal Affairs, which is what
mhm,
Departed was based
sure.
off of, but I've never seen, you know, Hard Rain, which is a Michael Douglas 80s classic in, I believe it's in Tokyo. So just made me think that Asian action films that's not direct or that aren't directed by John Woo is a huge blind spot for me. And maybe that's something that I need to continue on.
I think that sounds like a worthy course of study and something that maybe we should both get into as we continue to talk about these games. It strikes me that the triads are not going anywhere, and if anything, we have just inflamed them to a staggering degree by
This is
killing
the
one of
first
their own.
time we encountered these triads, right?
Yes,
This is like
we've seen these guys walking around, but this is the first direct attack. And so now, we've run afoul of the Colombians, of the Diablos, of the Triads. We're stepping in it left and right. Let's
all at
move
the
on.
direction of the Italian gangsters,
Yeah,
right?
Italians are running the show, and we are merely players in this theatrical production. So we go back to Joey. We're moving on to our next mission. It's called Van Heist. He wants us to hit a payroll van. He makes it very clear that bullets are not going to be of any use to us, right? So the nine that we'd gotten from ammunition, Forget about it. We just have to ram this thing to the point that the security guards driving it take off. Then we can take it to a lockup at the docks, collect our money. That's the setup here. And the fact that he says this is how it's going to go down, that's the you said we're out of the tutorial phase. There are still things that we are learning. So this mission is different in so much as we're contending now with a damage meter as we take down this armored truck. And it's a sort of bit by bit experience. How
Well, we
long?
got damage meter when we took the Diablo, right?
No, we just had to get them out of the car. That,
Oh,
that was
okay.
just inciting them. There was no damage meter there.
I think there was a damage meter on the one where we took the car. We had the option to beat the guy with the baseball bat,
Nope.
or
I'm,
or is it or is it time?
there was a time component, not on yes on that mission. There's been no damage meter so far, but in any case, that it just feels like a wrinkle on these different kind of formulas, that have been presented to us so far. To me, what's interesting about this mission, one of the most sort of like GTA interesting things, is that there is no way to complete it without inciting the cops. You cannot complete this mission without getting a minimum of 2 stars.
Ain't that America?
Ain't that America? So, we've contended with the cops before, but this is the first time that it is
Helicopters?
unavoidable. I haven't seen any helicopters yet. What have you done to get a helicopter on your ass?
I feel like I maybe had helicopters in some of my failed attempts at the last mission.
Okay.
I was killing way too many people.
How
This
much?
mission to me was shockingly easy. Once they told me I needed something big to ram this thing, I actually got in a bus. There was a
Okay.
bus available on the streets. And I thought to myself, this is one of the central questions of GTA, in some ways, all video games, is that you kind of know what you're supposed to do,
Right.
but you also sometimes need a reminder in your head that says, this is a video game and you could do whatever you want. So in my mind, I was searching for the perfect truck or some big vehicle. And I thought to myself, fuck it. Why not do it with a bus?
Yeah.
I'm sure this will work. And it worked.
Was
So
this at all inspired by our conversation last week, ferrying prostitutes to the policeman's ball?
no. This was inspired by a desire for, you guessed it, for liberty, dude. I thought,
Hmm.
the game and everyone who's played this mission before probably has like gotten some type of heavy duty truck. And I thought
Uh-huh.
I thought this bus. There was a moment where I was like, am I actually gonna be able to get in this thing? Which was a ridiculous feeling to have because you can get in almost any vehicle
Right.
in this world that you see. And it was pretty easy to just smash this thing a bunch of times. The cops jumped it out. I took the bus right in front of where we dropped the ladies off for the fuzzball,
Hmm.
which I thought was very poetic.
Yeah, this is a small city. We're going to keep seeing the same places over and over again.
Yeah, and yeah, the whole thing went down very quick, and it was pretty easy. It was pretty easy to lose the cops too. I did notice, like being out in the world, there were these little floating police medallion things
Sure, the bribes.
that the bribes. Now, I don't want to reveal too much of the secrets here, but you are from New Jersey, are you
Uh-huh.
not?
I am. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a police medallion before?
Not in the wild. I am aware of them, but I have not seen one myself.
When I was younger, I was once driving with a family friend on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Just like Bruce Springsteen.
Very fast, very fast. And we got pulled over and they showed a police medallion, which
Hmm.
I had never seen before. Have you ever seen one of these before?
I just told you I've never seen one before.
Like the things that you like keep in your wallet that you like show the cop that pulls you
Yeah,
over?
no, I know what they are. So the story, someone pulls you over, they show you the police medallion. What happens next?
We didn't get a ticket.
Okay.
So I think there's probably a fancy word for this, of searching for meaning in some of these game icons and design of the game. But this concept that you could just drive around and get your stars lowered through going over a little police like circle, a little ridiculous, but It
Well, it's
did
kind
make
of
me
it's
think of the ways that cops can be manipulated. So
yeah, it's
far,
it's not unlike what you're describing, where, the police medallion system in real life is, knowing somebody, right? And in the case of this game, it is knowing the map. You know a little more, and so you can use that to your advantage.
oh, I like that. I feel
Yeah.
like I definitely know
It
where it is
sounded
now.
good coming out of my mouth. You know where the police there are, I mean, there's multiple police bribes in each of these boroughs.
The But all in all, I found this mission to be a lot of hype, but over before I wanted it to be.
Okay.
Like
Who's
I
who's
think,
hype who's hyping the mission to you, Joey?
yeah, Joey did. He said this is
Uh-huh.
going to how it's going to go down, and
All
implies
right,
that
you
maybe
were
he.
you were expecting a like Heat style Michael Mann showdown.
Yeah, akin to my adventures with our friend in the last mission, dude. I
Right.
like Chunky Lee Chong took some work. This went down with
Mhm.
me with a bus, dude. You know?
Yeah, it's ultimately pretty straightforward. I kind of felt the same way at the end of this mission as I did the one where you blow up the guy at the restaurant, the name of which is escaping me right now. But you take this armored truck to the lockup. There is this, heavenly blue circle you're supposed to drive into. No matter how many stars you have at that moment, they go away. And so future GTA installments, which both of us can attest to, there are a lot of missions that you cannot end with a certain wanted level, and it's up to you to
Yes.
kind of get the heat off of you. And it's not fair on some level to judge this game according to mechanics that it would get to eventually. It's we're going back to the beginning, earliest kind of principles, concepts, but it does take you out a little bit of this sort of reality, that they've cultivated in Liberty City. And you are very aware at that moment that you are playing a game. But I don't know. I try to remember this is a framework that they will build on and build on and build on.
I mean, this is over 20 years old, right? We're
Yes.
recording this the year of our Lord 2025. So
Yeah.
we're looking at 24 years ago, which
Yep.
is honestly a shocking amount of time.
Yeah, it's a quarter
So
century. We are old. The other
we'll
thing that
do a
stood
little
out,
math here. So this game came out 2001. That means that we are as close to 1977 when the game came out, which is crazy. I don't even know what video games existed in.
it's like, I don't know, maybe there was like a Star Wars Atari game. That's probably
Yeah,
what we're looking at. The other thing that popped up to me with this, again, very straightforward mission. I feel like there's no way to do this mission without racking up a lot of collateral damage. That was probably true for the mission before, but I wound up running over a shocking amount of people. And what stood out to me, like, I forgot about the sound of it. Like, there's a telltale squish under your car as you run people over. And it's just like, it's happening again and again. And I'm just thinking about these poor people who are trying to go get noodles from Chunky Lee Chong, or they're going to work at like the bitchin' dog food factory. And here I am trying to steal this secure car, running them over with no sense of responsibility whatsoever.
did you develop this empathy for these NPCs before or after seeing the Ryan Reynolds classic Free Guy?
I think I feel less empathy for them after having watched one of the worst movies of all time, Free Guy.
So there's always a moment in some GTA games where, and it's always unpredictable, where something happens that I've done thousands of times, but it shocks me, and it sounds like you experience that as you revisit the squish of the NPCs beneath your tires, dude, of the van. What I'm saying is like, it's not even the free roam stuff. It's usually when I'm like in the intensity of a mission, and it's not splattering hundreds of people. It's like maybe the one person that I splattered that, like, maybe I had tried to swerve to avoid pedestrians the past 5 times, but that time I was like, I got to get to that garage. Sorry, bro. And they
Right.
just get smoked, and you're like, yeah, that was kind of violent. And I feel like part of that is it's as you get older, you are more aware of the ways of the world, that the kindness and the brutality, the yin and the yang of a live life. You know what I mean? I mean,
No,
you're out here. Sounds like you're making backstories for all these people.
yeah, no, I'm warning every single one of them. I'm like punching myself in the arm for every needless pedestrian death in this game. I I do feel a certain way about it. It's
Did
it's
you
a
feel that way when you were younger, or was it just
absolutely
chaos?
not. I could give two shits when I was 15 years old. Kill everybody. Um, Yeah, it's a
Oh
different
my God,
experience.
bro.
It's a different experience. Tim, you have three children. You're looking at this from a different perspective, even, than me as an aging 39-year-old. But yeah, I'm stopping. I'm thinking. I'm processing. That's part of the GTA experience now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like where we go from here, because it does start to feel like these missions are opening up, and then I do this mission, and then I get a pager hit.
Sure.
Pager starts going off,
All right. Who's hitting you
and
up?
now I'm getting hit up told to go to a payphone in front of the building where Misty lives. Now I
Hmm.
was excited. I thought we were going to try to get a more evolved female character relationship here. I thought maybe this was Misty
You're
hitting me
expecting
up.
too much.
Yes. Um, and I thought our boy Claude, aka unnamed character, who got shot in the face by the last girl that he seemed to trust,
Yeah.
and had something going with Misty, only in the shared car ride of one tender moment. Now was maybe going to develop a further relationship. No, it's a dude inviting me to a race. A dude named El Burro. El Burro.
El
Burro.
Bodo. El Bodo.
Is this the time that we share our Duolingo streak with the audience?
Sure. I'm up to, I think, 709 days. I don't have it in front of me, but I've been doing my lesiones para 5 minutos cada mañana.
Hey,
That's how, yeah.
my,
Get yourself a gringo who can speak a little Spanish.
I love that. So this dude wants to give us an opportunity. I was stoked. I thought we were going to get to kill some people, and great way to put it in the sense of my previous
Yeah.
reflection on violence
Right.
one
Well,
minute
you
ago.
you reflected and now you're ready for more.
And I was like disappointed to learn that this was a race.
Okay. Why? You don't like
Keep that
driving missions.
keep that shit in Gran Turismo, bro. You know,
Yeah.
you would think that this is a driving game, not an action game. But then I realized that auto is in the title.
Yeah. No, I mean, this sounds like a you problem. This sounds like a, get good bro scenario.
Why? Were you able to destroy this race right away?
No, it took me two attempts. So if you want, I can run you through both of them. I can
Well, I
explain what
want
I
to
did.
start with. I want to start with. Are you driving the Diablo around as your go-to car? Because I parked that in my garage, and when I got to this mission, I was not using the fastest car that I owned, which I think is the Diablo.
I had until you brought it up failed to remember that you could store cars, so I will be doing that from now on. But I was and am driving the Diablo Stallion, the official car of the Diablo Street Gang, which to me, alongside I think the Mafia Sentinel is currently like the fastest car that you can run. I did not head into the mission with that. However, it is strongly implied that you should be using this car because immediately after hanging up with El Boro on the payphone, you're in Diablo territory. I believe the neighborhood is called Hepburn Heights. And when you leave the sort of apartment complex, there is a Diablo right out there driving past. So it's like the game wants you to take that car.
I guess I missed that, and I
Okay, so
was just
you show up to this race with a subpar vehicle.
yeah, like a truck. And I didn't think I did not expect this level of twists and turns through the urban environment. I thought we are going to be in a straightaway situation,
Yeah. But there
and
is
I
no
just couldn't
straightaway.
handle
Like
that.
what straightaway? There's like one long street and a series of grids. There.
Maybe the big avenues of the big city, bro. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right. Okay. Yeah, no, it is, I believe, 18 different uh markers you have to cross through. You are racing against three other cars. You line up again in front of the old school hall. So we have now shown up here for the fuzzball. This is where you finish the armored car mission. We are seeing these locations again and again. This city is coming to life. But the
You must have
three
been so stoked, dude. You love driving. Yeah, I feel like you're a driver in real
I
life.
do. Yes, I think I might have mentioned this in our first episode. I spent the bulk of last year as a Lyft driver, and I'm in Los Angeles. It is a driving, challenging city, and just kind of getting around requires a lot of ingenuity. There was not a single day I drove that did not require me to do something illegal. but I think I'm a pretty good driver.
No, I
And
don't mean like occupation based driving. I mean like soul searching based
oh,
driving. I feel like you
yes,
like to
I
drive around and think.
that is a fair assessment. I'm known for going on long desert drives to kind of get the lead out and ponder every thought that's ever existed in my head, much like Dewey Cox right before he goes up on stage. So yeah, I this that speaks to me. There is a spiritual component to it. Am I a car racer? No. I've gone fast on the Jersey Turnpike, much like you did. I think I topped
Have
out
you
one.
ever gone fast against a human in real life?
Yes. I wouldn't describe it as a drag
Oh
race,
my
but
god, bro.
I was 16. I was coming back from a swim practice. Badass alert at Rutgers. It was early winter. It was like January 2003. And BJ Kramer is in the other car. I forget what he was driving. Let's say that it's like a Saturn Ion. And I'm in my parents' Honda CRV. I'm driving my brother back from swim practice. I'm pretty sure that I got up to 107 miles an hour as BJ Kramer also did this. BJ got pulled over by the cops, and I immediately slowed down to like 85 on the turnpike. So that's the closest I've ever come to
That's insane, bro. You're having your little brother going 107 on the
this.
turnpike. It sounds
He was
like
Anchor was egging me on. So, it was, and this was like prime GTA
what
territory.
music were you listening to when you were pushing the CRV?
Well, Tim, I'm pretty sure that I was listening to Death Cab, which
Oh
is
my god.
yeah, it's the best drag racing music known to the white community. So I was just trying to just trying to live my truth. Um, Back to this mission. So you're going through these checkpoints. I started off, yes, in a Diablo Stallion. I knew what I was up against. And my instinct was to kind of let these other cars, which I've never seen before. I think that the models that are in this race are like faster than you can actually compete with. I've never seen this model. So my strategy was to let them make some mistakes. Then I made my first and immediately disqualifying mistake, which was to go for the wrong checkpoint. The map
Good
shows,
move, bro.
yeah, the map shows all the checkpoints. As you know, some of them are highlighted because those are the next ones you're supposed to go to. I just assumed that I could hit them in any order, and the race was lost at that point. There was no going forward. Although I did with some honor, continue to drive until the game told me to stop with a failure message that said, "You couldn't win a raffle, loser."
Yeah, I saw that. So, real question: is this a mainline mission, or is this our first side mission?
I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to define it. I do not believe that this will ultimately have any bearing on the overall main story, but for the purposes of this podcast, I'm saying right now that any mission that shows up as an icon on the map gets main mission status.
So we're icon guys.
We're icon guys. That's the hard and fast rule here because
Does
I
that mean
know,
that we're iconic?
yes, we are 100% iconic. There are definitely missions that show up later in the game that don't pop up on the map, and we can call those side missions. But I don't know. In service of building out this world, I was thinking about this a lot. So I want to talk about something a little bigger because this is just a race. You win it, you lose it, you get $3,000. But to me, what's more interesting is the way there is this clear sort of mounting gang war, right? Kind of taking place on the sidelines of these stories. You are enlisted so far, like you said, by the Italian mafia. We can say mafia. And you are doing Italian on Italian crime. You are doing Italian on triad crime. You're doing Italian on Diablo crime. El Boro is the head of the Diablos, so far as I understand it. And so it's kind of interesting to me that like you're playing every side of this mounting war that again is kind of building up behind you. The stories so far in these missions are not that narratively rich, but I do think there's something to be said for how this is quietly building in the background.
I mean, you want to talk narratively rich? This is the first guy that gives you a compliment.
That's true. That's very true. What does he say, Tim?
He's like, "You got a rep out there." He's like,
Uh-huh.
"People, your name is on the streets, dude."
Did that make you feel good?
It did make me feel good, dude. Somebody saw me driving around Misty.
Yeah.
You
Listen,
know,
the right people notice. You just got to keep your head down, do the work, and trust
I mean,
that.
I'm joking about that, but I understand what you're saying. I actually thought that was very cool. I thought that was indicative of the world getting bigger and that my actions having some level of story repercussions beyond straight cash.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. What I'm describing is more than just environmental storytelling. I think that it is very deliberate on the part of these cutscenes, and the kind of mission parameters. But the more that I'm playing and doing these things, the more that I'm cognizant of when I'm in Diablo territory and when I'm in Triad territory. It's like on the one hand, it's ridiculous that every single member of the Triads is dressed in this denim work outfit and that every single mafia guy has their formal suit on. But I think that it builds out this sense of territory. It builds out this sense of, who you owe your allegiance to as you, the unnamed, unspeaking protagonist, just continue to do work for people. This is our first non-Italian mission.
Yes.
So in that sense, there is a level of importance, regardless of whether or not, it's considered a main mission.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though. Didn't the Colombians blow up the bridge?
Yes. So that's another gang we have yet to even contend with.
I like that. And I also need to face my own destiny and go beat this mission, dude. I come to the recording of this podcast without beating it,
That's
which
a, we're not here to make anybody feel bad. This is not a results oriented podcast. This is an experience oriented podcast.
this isn't a gamer bro self help pod, dude.
No, no, we're not going to. Well, you see, Tim, you really need to approach this mission from a very different angle. No, I can give you strategy if you'd like. I can give it to you right now.
I mean, my strategy is to go to get a faster car and take my shit seriously.
All right.
The other thing I'll say though is it is interesting that this is our first like real racing driving mission.
Sure. In a game that is all about driving. Or
Is
that
it
is
all about
mostly
driving?
no, no, no. I said it and I immediately wanted to take it back. In a game that uses driving as a foundational mechanic.
Would you say that driving and the open road and the automobile is a foundation of American liberty?
100%.
Hell yeah, bro.
That's why we can't let Waymo take that away from us.
Oh boy.
All right,
Oh
Tim,
boy.
quick strategy tip for how to beat this game. Yes, get a fast car. Use the Diablo Stallion or the Italian Sentinel. However, the key to this mission is not speed. The key to this mission, I don't want to go so far as to say like slow and steady wins the race, but being a careful driver here is vastly more important than being a fast driver. And the reason for that is because every pedestrian and NPC car in Liberty City is clinically insane and will always do the dumbest shit imaginable.
And seemingly will blow up if it
Yeah,
flips over for more than
these
1 second.
yes, these cars are made of tissue paper. The best thing you can do in this mission is avoid any sort of body damage to your car. Avoid running into anybody, anything, and that will get you through this mission.
Will I be allowed to be on the pod next week if I don't beat this mission?
Yeah, I'll grant you a reprieve.
And do you have to place first to beat this mission?
Yes, you have to place first. Um, my hope for you in beating this is just so that we can continue to talk about more El Bodo
And
missions
what
because
radio station do you recommend?
oh, great question. So I was thinking about this. I think you have
How,
alluded.
how long were you thinking about this for?
I think about all this for too long. Like I said, you've got kids. I've got so much free time on my hands. My go-to radio stations are either Flashback, FM, or KJA. Neither one. Well, Flashback I think is good for this. KJA is a little too relaxing. However, I chose the house music station Rise FM, and that really got me just in the zone. Pulsating BPM. It is exactly the right music you need to just lock in and Nicholas Winding Refn drive your way through.
That's all I need to know, bro.
Yeah, you're
All
gonna do
right.
it.
So
I'm
the next
confident.
time we get together, I will have hopefully beat this mission. And I'm excited to see where the story goes from here. I'm getting pretty tired of Joey and his hijinks, dude. I hope
Okay.
that maybe El Burro hires me to take Joey out along the way. I mean, we are also entering a point of this game where I played this game on PC and I don't remember any story missions at all.
Good.
So
That's great.
like where we are completely in
Uncharted
uncharted.
territory, not to be confused with the
Yes,
PlayStation series.
not to be confused. And I'm excited to see this thing open up, and I'm excited to start backstabbing some people, dude.
I mean, we're talking logistics right now, but I do think that there is an interesting kind of narrative tension right now where it's like we've been doing these missions for Luigi, for Joey. El Burro has entered the mix. I do believe that we are meant to feel that world, you know, kind of burgeoning all around us, and hopefully some level of like, I don't know, frustration with like, I want to see the rest of it. I want to connect with these other people. I want to do more missions. So that all feels baked into the experience of this game, that you should feel like, put me in, coach. I'm ready. I'm ready for the big mission.
Hell yeah, I am ready. Let's
All right.
go, dude.
Okay. We'll be ready next week.
I love it, bro. All right,
All right.
sign off.
All
Let's
right.
go.
I'll talk to you later.